You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Another day has brought another Tiger entering the transfer portal, although this time we're not talking baseball, we're talking football. LSU defensive end Soni Fonua has officially put his name in the portal, released on social media earlier today that he was entering the portal, used the hashtag #ForeverLSU, and left a note thanking Ed Ogeron, the coaches here, the ability to win a national championship. Thanked Brian Kelly as well and the new staff. Thanked them for the bond that he had with them. So, very nice note from Soni Fonua announcing that he's entering the transfer portal. I would like to point out, though, because we do have this conversation every time we're talking about someone in the portal, especially now. Yes, the deadline has passed for someone to enter the portal and be immediately eligible. But remember, if you're a grad transfer, you could transfer at any time and be immediately eligible. I always reference 2018. Joe Burrow showed up at LSU in June. He announced he was transferring in May. That was even before that deadline. But during that preseason, that fall camp in August, when Burrow had kind of emerged, Justin McMillan transferred to Tulane and was immediately eligible. He left in August and was eligible at Tulane. So if you're a grad transfer, that rule doesn't apply. So Soni Fonua is able to go play wherever he wants, be immediately eligible for the remainder of his eligibility. So good luck to him. When he came to LSU, he was one of the top JUCO defensive players in the country when he came here out of Mesa Community College. And he actually became kind of a serviceable player. He was here for the championship season at LSU and played in a handful of games that year. Actually played in 4 games that year for LSU. And then during the COVID season, played in 7 of the 10 games for LSU. And last year, when you had a lot of injuries, by the end of the season, you were just decimated, of course. He actually ended up starting 5 games for LSU last season. Played in 9, started 5, and had 27 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. He actually became a pretty good disruptor off the edge. But when both B.J. Ojulari and Ali Gay announced they were returning, Soni Fonua wasn't going to start. That much was clear. And whether LSU runs a base 3-4 or 4-3, however that happens, what's pretty clear is that B.J. Ojulari and Ali Gay are going to be on the field for darn near every snap. So Fonua would have been effectively a rotational player, again, just providing depth. And then you have young guys like Savion Jones and like Xavier Carter and Quincy Wiggins, who was part of this signing class. You've just got Jarrell Cherry still hanging around as a defensive end, another veteran guy. So you've got numbers there. But if you're Fonua and you're looking for an opportunity potentially to start, that wasn't going to happen. And so I could certainly appreciate and respect him waiting to see how things might transpire with the new staff before making this decision. But I think we could all understand why he's leaving at this point. So where that hurts LSU is really just in depth. And that does matter, and I'll give you an example here in just a second. Same with Joseph Evans. Like, LSU's defensive front is going to be really good. I think we'd roundly agree on that, wouldn't we? If you were asked, what's the strength for LSU on offense and defense? I think universally we would all say receiver on offense, defensive line on defense, right? I mean, that's kind of where this team appears to be stacked. So you lose depth on the defensive line. It doesn't hurt you up front, but where it does potentially affect you is if you have an injury or a suspension or something along those lines that makes you tap into that depth. That's where it hurts. Because now instead of, Ali Gay, B.J. Ojulari as your starting ends, and then the next guy up is a dude that's played in 20 games in the SEC, was part of the championship team, has been around Baton Rouge for 3 years, going on year 4. Like, instead of having that guy, now you're rotating in Savion Jones or Xavier Carter, or a freshman in Quincy Wiggins. Just someone with decidedly less experience. Now, maybe a higher ceiling, which we probably all agree on. Those guys probably have a higher ceiling than what you know already with Fonua, who's been around Baton Rouge for 3 years now, 3 seasons. This would have been going into his fourth season in Baton Rouge. But again, you miss the veteran presence of a guy that's 22 years old and has played in 20 games during his time at LSU over 3 years as part of the championship team and all that sort of stuff. So Soni Fonua enters the transfer portal. The other thing I was thinking about when this news came out today, it was just another reminder of how sort of how infrequently JUCO players actually hit. And I feel like we've run through this list before, but I went and looked up every JUCO player that LSU has signed since the beginning of the Les Miles era. So go back to 2005. To the most recent class, I'm going to say this name and you might chuckle. Bug Strong. Bug Strong was supposed to be LSU's starting middle linebacker this past season. Number 1 JUCO inside linebacker. Dude got on campus, couldn't run, didn't see the field. Soni Fonua, of course. Damian Lewis is one that undeniably worked out. Became a starter on the national championship team, was a drafted offensive lineman who became a starter as a rookie in the NFL. That's an undeniable hit. Trevez Moore? Nope. Badara Traore? Remember when they brought in Badara Traore? Like, they thought they had their future left tackle. The kid had 2 left feet. Like, they tried to put him at right tackle, and he was a turnstile. Jeremy Cotrere, I don't ever think showed up on campus. Javante Demond, he was booted off the team. Fahoko Fanika did end up playing some. Quantavius Leslie, that dude was a toothpick, man. He was as thin as the jersey number he wore. Logan Stokes, who did play at tight end. Mettenberger, and then you go back into like some of the earlier less, like Mettenberger obviously hit. That's a little bit of an asterisk though, because he was from Georgia and went a year in JUCO. We all know the story. Kendrick Adams, that obviously worked. He was part of that great 2011 defense. Derek Helton became a starter. Akeem Hicks, we know the story there. He never actually played and got LSU in some trouble. D. Bird was an undeniable success, and Phil Lodeholt, who I think ended up at Oklahoma and played, but never played at LSU. So really, Damian Lewis, Fahoko Fanika, Mettenberger, but that one's with an asterisk, and Kendrick Adams, D. Bird. I mean, all the way back through the beginning of the Miles era, 4 or 5 maybe JUCO players that have actually worked out. But wish Soni Fonua the best in whatever's next for him. But he enters the portal, and that's another roster spot that LSU will have open for this year. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.